There's something about your face, can't stop looking your way. What do you do to me? You make it hard to breathe. Ooh. I'm tired of the people that talk about nothing, and I'm not wasting this moment. Even though I know that letting you go would be crazy. Thinking no.
So it all started with my grandma, because she introduced me to Charlie Chaplin, actually, when I was about like 5 years old, when I still lived in Paris, and I was just obsessed over his movies, and I was like, I love this. And I always knew I wanted to be a performer. At some point I thought I wanted to be a singer, but then I realized I couldn't sing. So eventually it kind of just, acting made sense, and I started doing all these shows with my cousins and my brother. We would do some fun little typical like dance routines and little acting things, and they were terrible, but it was really fun. And then what I realized is that I started taking it all like super seriously, but like way too seriously for a child. Like with my cousin, whenever we'd play pretend, for example, I would get really upset if we weren't being in character. Like I remember this one time, and this was when I was about like, 8 years old. We played like doctor and patient, and she was my patient, and she started laughing, and I started taking it personally because I was like, you can't laugh. Like you're supposed to be in the surgery room or whatever it was. So it kind of started there, and then I started taking acting classes outside of school when I was about maybe 9 years old. And then I realized that I also wanted to make movies because, I kept on watching them and I was like, I want to know how to do that. So then I started doing screen acting classes and making short films when I was about 14 probably, and it kind of just led to that. And then I didn't want to go to college at first. So I didn't want to apply. My parents were really annoyed. And then eventually I applied to NYU, and it was the only college I applied to. And at first I was like, I'm not sure if I want to do film or like a drama school. But then I decided, it'd be better if I actually learn everything from behind the camera so I can apply it in front of the camera, which has helped me tremendously actually with acting. And I could see my craft evolving a lot. And also just being able to write, my own content and do my own content has been super helpful as well. So yeah, that's how I got started, I guess. Oh man, the thing is that I've tried to do so many other things than, than jobs in the film industry, like especially acting. I tried to do like public relations, like I had an internship in public relations once, or even social media. But every time I just felt so unsatisfied. I just did not feel fulfilled at all. And it's the same thing now, like acting will always be like my priority, and it's, it's really what I want to do. And then filmmaking, of course, is something I really enjoy doing, but there's still this thing about acting that I love so much, and everything I do that's not that is just, I feel unsatisfied. Like I'll be happy about the work I'm doing, but there's still this part of me that's missing. And so I guess that's what drives me. Like even if I get an audition, for example, I just get really excited for the fact that I can actually perform. A lot of people see it as stressful, but I see it as something really fun because I get to do what I love. And yeah, you're getting judged for it, but like regardless, you're always getting judged, so what's the point of taking it seriously? So just not feeling satisfied with anything else, I guess, is what drives me. So I have a lot of bits and bops, I guess you could call them. I have the randomest things around my place, but there are these 3 cards I have, and they're all Ace of Hearts, and they're all on my wall. And basically what happened is, this was like 3 years ago. There was one year where I kept on finding cards on the street, like on the sidewalk, and they were facing down. I didn't know what they were, and this one time I picked it up and it was an Ace of Heart, and I was like, huh, funny. So I kept it. And then a few months later, the same thing happened. I find this card in the middle of the street facing down. I pick it up, Ace of Heart. And then the third one happened a few months later again. And what's so strange about this is that I found one in Portugal, one in England, and then one in the US. So it's not even like I found it all in one specific place. It was in different countries. So it was very strange. So now they're kind of like my good luck charms, I guess. So I have them up on my wall, and if I'm going in for like an audition or something I, really want or interview or anything, then I just kind of take it with me and I keep it in my bag.
Interesting question, because most people are like, wait, how did you go from being in skincare to being on TV? And it's actually really simple. Before social media existed, the only thing that was really around was television. And I'm 32 years old. So when I became a licensed esthetician, I was also in nursing school at the same time. And while I was there, a lot of brands were looking for experts, licensed estheticians, cosmetic nurses, to sell their product on TV because we were more knowledgeable. So I kind of fell into it by, just being in the skincare business and knowing other female entrepreneurs. We're passionate about what I do. When I get that one message from a woman or a man saying, you've really helped me with my skin, or I watched you on TV and you feel so relatable, that makes me really happy, because if I can just help one person a day, it's life-changing for me. I grew up with a single mom who was a tomboy and didn't know anything about skincare or beauty or anything, so I was self-taught. And that's why I really went to school, to further my education. So if I can help like a young woman out there who's confused and lost like I was, it's worth it for me. Probably my collection of hot sauces. I'm a hot sauce addict. I like to collect even the ones that like no one would ever try or have the balls to try, because you could probably die from it. It's a really weird quirk of mine. Don't know why. It's just something I'm obsessed with. I'm Israeli, so Middle Easterners love spice. So yeah. I've always like really liked it, but then I realized that there's so many different ones. There's like ones that are, their background is more chocolate, then there's habanero, then there's sweet pepper. There's just so many different flavors, and I love spice and sauces on my food. I do not like my food super simple. So I don't know, I kind of just like dabbled in it, and then I started collecting all these weird hot sauces.
So I think when you ask any organizer how did they get started, they're going to give you the story of I was always organized, and it's true. We're kind of just like more organized people naturally. So it's like, oh, I started from the moment that I could remember. But how I started it as a business is probably a bit different of a story than other organizers, because I always said that this was going to be my retirement business. I was working in marketing and analytics, and I was working at the kind of like the time that spurred it, what I would call it my last proper job. I was working for one of the founders of Venmo, and it was a really small startup, and everybody there, I mean, there was only like 5 of us, but everybody there was so smart, and they were all coders, and I was like, I want to be like that. And from working in marketing and analytics, there was a little bit of kind of like an introduction to coding, just enough to make me feel comfortable to try to code. So with their support, I started taking coding classes, and one of my homework assignments was to code out a website. And I was like, well, I'm not going to make a website that's just like meaningless, and I don't even know like what random thing I could think of. So I was like, let me just do a business that I would one day want to do. And so I did the organization business, and even as the class was progressing, I just found myself going back to this homework assignment and wanting to expand it more and more. And then it just kind of like all started rolling from there. And I feel like the moment that there was like a few moments after that where like I had an ex-boyfriend that was like, you're really gifted in this, I need you to do it. And so he was like, come over, I'm paying you. And then I had like a friend who's an influencer who was really pivotal in this becoming a business too, by like being a client and sharing me on social media and encouraging me to have like a separate social media account. So I don't think there was one moment that spurred, you know, this business. I think that there was a few that were really important, and so that's kind of like the story. My drive and my motivation mainly comes from the fact that when I was growing up, I had to work for everything. I didn't have this really wealthy family that just gave me everything. I had to always work for everything that I had. And so that's a really big factor in just kind of like how I attack and approach life and business in general. But another big factor for motivation is just when I'm helping people, I put a lot of my things on social media, and I want to be able to like touch the masses rather than just my clients. And when I hear that people are using my tips and tricks and they show me pictures, or they're like, this is really helpful, I'm about to move, this is so great, or for my travel pack, you know, especially if it's not a pandemic, that feels really good. I just love that I'm able to like touch other people, and all of that is like positive reinforcement for me. When I was thinking about my favorite thing that I own, I felt like it kind of went against my brand because I'm very minimalistic, and I like to think that we're more than just our possessions. And so there's not one thing that I can put my finger on that's my favorite thing that I own, but rather right now it's something that I'm renting, and that's my apartment. I moved in kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and it's been really fun to like remap and reorganize my space and everything around me. So even though it's like a rental, I don't own it, it's not necessarily my possession, it kind of is right now. And so it's definitely my apartment.
began comedy when I was 20 years old. I went on a random road trip with my friend to Indianapolis, and we had no plan. But when we got down to Indianapolis, my dad was like, well, there's a comedy club there if you want to go to that. And so we went to a show, and I think I can say this now because the club is closed, but they didn't card me. And so I had more to drink than I should have, which was any because I was underage. But I got a little bit tipsy, and I went up to the headliner because I thought he was funniest. And I said, hey, I want to do what you do. And he just kind of shut his phone and was like, well, okay, give me a minute. And then we talked back and forth, and he made me tell him some jokes. And then he was like, yeah, you're pretty funny. And then he introduced me to the club owner, and he said that he was going to vouch for me to be on a showcase. And so I drove back to Indianapolis the next week, I think it was, and I got to do my first 6 minutes ever of stage time. And it was kind of a weird start because I didn't get to really hit the ground running because I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and there wasn't a lot going on entertainment wise in Fort Wayne for comedians anyway. There's a pretty good music scene, but there wasn't for comics. And so from the first time I did comedy to the next time, it was like 7 months, but my anniversary for comedy is coming up soon. I think it's January 17th. So I count it from there because that was the first time I was on stage and where I wanted to do comedy. So I started in Indianapolis and then got on stage as much as I could in Fort Wayne. And then I moved to Fort Worth, Texas, where I have been living and thriving ever since. So the honest answer of what drives and motivates me, I think a lot of it is spite, because my entire life people have told me that I can't do things. And so instead of throwing a tantrum and saying, yes, I can, I just like to put my nose to the grindstone and show everybody else that, yes, I can, and that everybody else can do whatever they want to as well. And I'm really trying to be better about it, especially since being in therapy the last year. I'm one of those people that's been having an annoying time in quarantine, just like being better and having a great time, because I realized that the problem in my life is me. So I was the common denominator. When everything else disappeared, I realized I could work on me. And so I'm trying very hard to not be better in spite of somebody else, but just to be better because I want to be the best that I can be. I want to be the baddest bitch that I can possibly be and show everyone else that you can be a bad bitch too. And so my main mantra over the last year was bad bitches can be sad bitches. And that's something that we really emphasize with Claws Out Comedy, which is what I run. I'm not just a comedian, I'm also a producer, and I've gotten a lot of women paid over the last year. Claws Out exists to elevate and showcase female and femme performers. And I feel like I should also say that does not mean excluding men. It's just that we try to elevate women. And so a big driver for me is paving the way that I wish I could have walked down. So I think that my favorite thing I own is probably an ashtray that I bought in Pompeii. I thought that it would be a funny thing, and I said it as a joke, like, oh, because I saw a bunch of people were smoking in Pompeii, which I thought was really adding insult to injury. I feel like I should also say I wasn't just traveling to Pompeii. I'm not a rich person. We had like a family member die, and so we went on a cruise to celebrate. I don't know. But we were in Pompeii, and I saw that they actually were selling ashtrays. And so I bought a Pompeii ashtray, and that is probably my most prized possession because I think it's so funny and so insulting that it exists.
Oh, didn't see you there. Guess you're enjoying Bespoke TV. Well, you should stay tuned because there's more to come.
Yo, what's up, fans? Today's headline: Hailey Baldwin reveals the exact workout she does to keep her body in the best shape. Hailey Baldwin went into details about the kind of exercise she does to stay in the best shape and keep herself healthy in a new podcast interview. Hailey Baldwin always manages to look great, but there's a lot of work and dedication behind her fantastic figure. The model revealed the kind of workout she loves doing that help to maintain being in the best shape. In the interview with the Women's Health Going for Gold podcast, they include Pilates and boxing. Exercise is another thing that keeps my mind and my body really healthy, she said to the podcast. I really like Pilates and boxing for cardio, and I'll do a couple of sessions a week in the gym, weight training and cardio. I used to be a ballet dancer, so Pilates for me gets my body personally in the best shape because it's very elongating, she added. And a lot of the movements in Pilates are very similar to dance, and I think that's why I identify with it so much. Hailey also explained that Pilates is not only used to improve physical strength, flexibility, and posture, it's also good for mental awareness. In addition to her workout routine, Hailey opened up about her skincare, which includes always doing a double cleanse and wearing SPF. I'm pretty consistent with my daytime and nighttime routine, which is a double cleanse, first an oil-based cleanser and then a gentle foaming cleanser. A serum or two depending on if I want to layer more things, a moisturizer, she explained. And I always wear SPF every single day, she continued. I think if I had understood even younger than 24 that SPF was so important, I probably would have done it sooner. But I think I'll be happy that I even started it in my 20s. The wife of Justin Bieber also shared her favorite products that include Bare Minerals Original Liquid Mineral Concealer, Bare Minerals Skin Longevity Long Life Herb Serum, and Bare Minerals Ageless Photo Retinol Face Cream, which comes out on March 10th. The beauty has also got personal when talking about being in the spotlight and how she deals with negative attention. The way that I've dealt with a lot of negative attention is I've talked it a lot through with a therapist, and I do therapy consistently, she said. I'm also married to someone that's been dealing with a lot. This is an extremely and high level of could possibly be. I think being able to share the world with somebody that understands it is even better. I love him. He loves me. Woohoo! Cute. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow with more. Goodbye for now.